a second what the most important thing is. The most important thing you do. And if the answer is anything other than attending, let me stress that. If the answer is anything other than attending this meeting, you have given the wrong answer. We just heard this in the spiritual reading, but it's worth listening again. The fate of the legion lies in the hands of its Curiae. That's a remarkable statement, isn't it? The most important element in the legion system, in the structure of the legion, is not the concilium in Dublin, and it's not your Presidium. It's the Curiae. So actually, the most important meeting you can attend is this one, not your weekly meeting. I'm not saying skip that, but don't ever think for a second that that's more important than this one, because the fate of the legion is in the hands of its Curiae. You know, and nothing could underscore the importance of taking time out for this meeting more than that basic statement. But the question then becomes, why is the Curiae so important? Because naturally, we tend to think locally, don't we? That what I'm doing in my local Presidium is the most important thing. But there's something that we need to understand, and it's something that members of the Legion around the world easily forget. So if you've never heard this before, most of the Legion, unfortunately, has not heard this before. Okay? Part of the reason for that is sometimes the handbook buries really important points really deep in the reading, and so you can easily miss it if you don't catch it. Okay? This particular point is all the way down as point number 6 in the discussion of the Curiae. You'd think it would be number 1. And so it's often overlooked, but it's vitally important. The reason for this is multifold, okay? One of the things is a local Presidium is not really a parish organization. And we have to recognize that. Your Presidium is not first and foremost a parish group. Your Presidium is the presence of the Legion of Mary in that parish. See the difference? Okay? The Legion of Mary is never just a parish group. The Presidium first belongs to the Legion. The pastor doesn't found the Legion of Mary in his parish. He gives permission for the Legion to be there. He can invite the Legion in, but the parish never founds the Legion of Mary. The Curiae founds the Presidium. So note, the life of the Presidium, except for the very first Presidium, comes from a council. It doesn't come just from the parish. It comes from the council. The Curiae finds experienced legionaries to help the formation of the foundation of that Presidium. And the Presidium, the local Presidium, is the local life of the Legion of Mary. But the Presidium always has to be connected to the Legion, and is connected through the Curiae. And so the Curiae is that vital connection of each local Presidium with the larger Legion. Without the Curiae, the Presidium is lost. It's on its own. As the handbook says, if it's just Presidiae and no Curiae, the life of the Legion is at risk. By the same token, if the Curiae attendance or participation or functioning is weak, that's not much different than not having one, is it? The life of the Legion is precarious. The health of the Legion is directly related to the health of the Curiae. And why? Because Presidium officers also come from the Curiae. And why? In the handbook, the first responsibility of every Presidium officer is to be here. It's not to govern the Presidium. It's to be present to the Curiae. And so the Presidium officers serve not just as the leaders of the local Presidium, you're the representatives of the Curiae. locally. Isn't that interesting? See, that's why the officers are not elected locally. You're not the representatives of your Presidium to the Curia. You're the representatives of the Curia to your Presidium. Boy, that really flips things, doesn't it? That really flips things. And in the handbook, there's no provision made for training officers, is there? The assumption is that this is where you learn. That the Curia meeting should be the school for the officers. The Curia meeting should be where the members of the Legion get to meet one another, so that Presidium can work together. Why? Because their officers know one another and can therefore collaborate. And the Curia meeting should also be where the spiritual directors are also coming together. Did you hear that at the very beginning in the spiritual reading? The Curia consists of all of the officers, including the spiritual directors, who don't attend as guests. They attend by right as members. So in a perfect world, it would be the Curia officers plus the spiritual director of each Presidium present at each meeting. And the idea is that's where the directors can also help coordinate the work of the Legion, can help the discernment of the work of the Legion. This is where, during the meeting, we can discuss, frankly, this isn't working. We're trying in my Presidium. Are there any suggestions? This is where we can say, one tip for how to run a good meeting is this. This is where new officers can get some support. So when you think about it, the Curia has this vitally important role when it's taught. And I say all of this, again, the issue here is not to have a reaction of, oh my God, we're not doing this. Or, oh my God, I never knew this. Okay, that's not the point. The point is, when we know what it can be and what it should be, we have a direction we can slowly move toward. Okay? Because sometimes we drift just because we haven't been taught, or we've never learned. So when we learn a little bit, then we have the option of beginning to say, are there a couple small steps we can make? And that's why I said you don't drop a hammer on the process of how things have been going, but you target a few things. But knowing that, and the idea being that, for example, the Curia appoints officers, then it's the responsibility, for example, of the Curia president to say, terms are coming due. And to speak to the officers who are present, especially the president of the Presidium. Do you have any recommendations? Are there any members of your Presidium who could be good candidates, and why would that be the case? So you see, it's not arbitrary, it's consultative. Then it gives the Curia president a chance to call the spiritual director and say, in your Presidium, officerships are coming due. What's your read in terms of who may be a good candidate? Do you have any suggestions? And one of the points then of the Curia visits, it's to get to know the members of the Presidium, so that we're not strangers to one another. So it's on the Curia level. It's on the Curia level where the members of the Legion come to know one another, learn to work together, and let's be honest, no local Presidium ever has all the resources it needs for everything, including training. And so the assumption is the Presidium should receive much of what it needs from the Curia. And that as its members become stronger, they become the future strength of the Legion in that area. And it's a marvelous system when it functions. But never for a second think that any minute of time you spend coming to this meeting is wasted. Never think that. So on the one hand, I'm preaching to the choir because I'm speaking about attendance to the people who are here. But it really is important just to catch. This is vital. Any work done to strengthen the Curia is absolutely vital. Because there is no Legion work on a lot of levels more vital than the functioning of the Curia. Because that's the key. Presidium won't be renewed if the Curia doesn't function well. Officers won't learn what to do if the Curia doesn't function well. And again, you note in the handbook, the Curia oversees extension. The Curia should have something to say about how we care for our auxiliaries. And it's not just the Presidium president, but the Curia that needs to ask the question of, are our members doing their work? Are our members living the Legion promise? In other words, the Curia is that part of the Legion, the larger Legion, which takes a vital interest in the health of what goes on locally. And it has to be healthy for the local part to really function well. So the point of all of this, again, is to stress, this work is vital work. This work is worth being a priority. Because the stronger the Curia is, the healthier the Legion. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.